What's going on, fellas? If you're watching this video, chances are you fly FPV drones, maybe with a GoPro. And if you do those two things, chances are you've heard of Reelsteady GO. Yes, that magical piece of software that makes even the shittiest flying drone fly like a cinematic masterpiece. Well, what you probably don't know is that Reelsteady GO V2 is just around the corner, and I've been beta testing for them, so I get to give you guys a sneak peek on this next version. Alright, now just in case you don't know what Reelsteady GO is, it is a stabilization software that uses the gyro data on the GoPro to stabilize the footage. Basically, it makes it look like you're flying with a gimbal. And the benefit to this is that you get that nice, smooth cinematic footage, but you still get to maintain this, action size versatility about it without all the extra hardware that a gimbal would bring about. And if you don't fly FPV drones, don't be alarmed, this video will still help you out because really, Reelsteady GO can be applied to any situation where you're using a GoPro, such as like mountain biking, maybe you're riding a motorcycle, maybe you just gotta strap to your chest and you're running, or even funner, your dog. Alright, and now for the disclaimer, this is still very much in beta, so because of that, I'm not gonna go over every single feature, but instead I'm gonna go over all of my favorite features and give you guys my take on it, coming from a guy that used it professionally on set and in productions. So a while back, Reelsteady GO was acquired by GoPro. And so the first thing you might notice is that it's got a different interface. Well, it's not different, it's just that they took Reelsteady and they integrated it into GoPro Player. So if you notice the lower right-hand screen, you'll see a small little button, and clicking on that button toggles Reelsteady and immediately shows you your render. And which brings me to my very first and probably my most important favorite new feature, and that is the fact that you have instant preview. Here's how Reelsteady GO currently works. You click that and it renders it and it tries to show you a preview, but it looks like this. Super slow, right? But now, you click that button and it shows you the Reelsteady version in real time. And better yet, you can even scrub on the timeline and find your favorite moment and see what Reelsteady looks like. In fact, you can even take it one step further and you can change the settings and move the sliders, and it does all of that in real time and shows you the preview without having to sit there and render it. Now for me, this is huge on set because directors and DPs usually want to see the results immediately. And so normally what happens is you go on set, you do a test shot, and I'd have to sit there and kind of make a decision about the stabilization level. And I have to be careful about how many options I show them because they're going to want to see them all. Well, with this, it's really nice because now I just take my laptop, bring it over to the DP, and say, boop, here you go, this is what it looks like. Oh, you want to change the stabilization? Let's just move the slider over, and then boop. And in real time is showing the director exactly how it's looking like. This saves me a ton of time in rendering test shots. Huge, huge help. Now the next big feature that I think is of huge, huge value is the fact that you've got multiple codec options. You've got HEVC, H.264, and my big favorite, ProRes. Now each of these is going to impact the quality, how long it exports, and obviously the file size. But that last one, ProRes, okay, especially for all of my professional guys that use this for production, that's huge. Now, I recently did a job where I used this beta version of Reelsteady to stabilize all the footage. It was actually for Deadliest Catch. If you haven't seen it, I suggest that you go back and watch it. It's a pretty cool behind-the-scenes look of what it's like to be in my shoes. But at the end of the day, I put all of my footage onto an external hard drive. I handed it over to DIT, and later on, he came back over to me and said, hey, were you shooting with the GoPro? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, it's weird because the files that I got from you were all in ProRes. And I had to explain to him like what was going on there because obviously they're not used to seeing ProRes files coming out of GoPro. So he was really thrilled about that, and production loves it because ProRes is a much more common format to work with within that workflow. That brings me to my next favorite feature, and that is export speed. If you choose ProRes as your codec, exporting files is blazing fast. For that show Deadliest Catch, I probably had a total of an hour's worth of footage, and if you use Reelsteady now, you'd know that is a long time of exporting. But with this, fraction of a time. All right, so my next favorite feature here is the ability to do batch export. Now, once again, if you guys are familiar with being on set, you'll know that DIT wants their stuff ASAP. So it's really nice to be able to just drag all of the files, drop it onto the window, hit export, go do something else, come back, and all of your files will be done. Love it. Now, another cool feature is the ability to Reelsteady videos that were originally shot in Hypersmooth. So maybe you forgot to change your settings, or maybe after watching the Hypersmooth video, you decide it needs a little bit more stabilization. Well, the next version of Reelsteady GO 2 will let you do exactly that. So this piece of footage was originally shot in 16:9 with Hypersmooth on, and as you can see, even with Reelsteady applied, it still maintains the same 16:9 aspect ratio. Something that you'll have control over, by the way. Now, it does crop it in considerably, so the quality does drop a teeny bit, but if your end state goal is to put this over onto social media, no big deal. Now, all that said, if you are using this for live production or if you want the absolute best quality possible, I still suggest that you shoot with the 4:3 format with no Hypersmooth at all and let Reelsteady do all the magic. Now, for those of you that like to just stabilize a certain clip of your super long video, you'll know that when you do that, you lose the audio. Well, on this version, it sticks with it.
It sticks with
because it's hot. It's too hot. I can't get this line out. What I'm trying to say is that I've got news for you, because the next version of Reelsteady GO, you can do the same exact thing, but the audio stays. So some other cool features is the ability to change the lens correction, use it with the narrow and linear modes within GoPro, and some other general workflow / interface control features. Now, I'm not going to go over all of those things because, again, this thing is still in beta, but I will go over all of that once the full production version is out. So if it isn't obvious by now, the new features and updates to Reelsteady GO is definitely a huge help for anybody using it in a professional setting. But even if you don't, you'll still like it, man. It still makes life super easy. All right, now let's address a couple of things that I know a lot of you are probably wondering, and how does it compare to Gyroflow? And the answer to that is, I don't know, because I've never used Gyroflow. So leave it down in the comments if that's something you want to see a comparison of, maybe something we could do in the future. The other thing I want to talk about is at the time of shooting this video, I was not able to get any clarification as to whether or not there's an upgrade path if you're a current Reelsteady GO user, especially considering that it's going to be embedded into GoPro Player moving forward. So, fellas, I just don't know. We're just going to have to find out and see when it comes out, which brings me to the last thing that I want to talk about, and that is, I don't know when this is supposed to come out. I just know that I got the go ahead and kind of share what's to come with you guys. So, let me know what you guys think. Drop it down in the comments, and I'll see y'all. Nope, not yet. And last but not least, if you're interested in a Bind and Fly 250 with a polar camera, we're blowing these out. Got a discount code. What is it?
Polar for you.
Polar, the number 4, U. It'll get you, we'll call it 15% off. 15% off to get this drone with the Polar just for trying to move it. We also got Naked GoPro, so if that's your thing, go check it out. See you guys on the next one. Peace out. Maybe on an FPV drone. An FPV drone. Here it comes. Fly like a master. Damn it! Look like a masterpiece of cinematic art. All right. First, no, we did the disclaimer already. We're talking about running down the street, Reelsteady GO, from being the old school.